It's Disruptive FM. Disruptive FM. Disruptive FM. Welcome to Disruptive FM, where business and culture collide. Sponsored by Microsoft and Branding Strategy Insider. With your host, Jeffrey Colon.
Okay, here we go.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's another episode of Disruptive FM, number 17, for the week ending Friday the 31st of August, 2018. Welcome. I'm Jeffrey Colon, your host and audio guide for the next quarter hour, as we dive into the culture of business and check what's happening in marketing, media, tech, and popular culture. Wave the green flag.
Here are this week's trending topics. Purpose is the new digital.
Digital no longer means anything, and this is why. It's everywhere. You can spend hours online and never really do much of anything at all. For marketers, they can spend tons of dollars online and maybe get a bunch of impressions or clicks, but have no revenue to show for it. And this is why companies are turning to the philosophy of good being the new cool. And it's being spearheaded by Afdhel Aziz, who we featured in episode 10 of DFM. Well, I'm happy to say that I was able to finally score a real talk with Afdhel and wanted to ask him if corporate social responsibility was all that it was cracked up to be, especially because every company is doing it. Here's what Afdhel had to say about this hot topic when we spoke to him earlier this week via Skype.
Really, the new frontier is how purpose drives profit and how profit drives purpose. It's not just companies doing good for the sake of keeping their employees happy and motivated or doing something which makes them look good as corporate citizens. The really fascinating new frontier is how companies are making money by doing good and solving some of the world's biggest problems. Peter Diamandis has this great quote, "The world's biggest problems are the world's biggest business opportunities." This is really where the conversation is shifting. The best example I always use to describe what's happening right now is the work that Adidas is doing around taking waste ocean plastic. So this is from their collaboration with Parley for the Oceans, an amazing kind of nonprofit that cleans up the oceans. Adidas has created a series of shoes using waste ocean plastic. They started with 7,000 pairs of a limited edition shoe. Last year, they sold 1 million. And this year, they've announced they're selling 5 million pairs of these shoes. The best part of this is that these shoes have a retail price of $200. So that's Adidas, which is about to make over $1 billion in revenue from solving one of the world's biggest problems. And finally, we are starting to see a way where companies can be profitable, solve problems, and then put that profit back into solving those problems on an ever larger and increasing flywheel. This is when it gets really interesting, when you have the engine of capitalism, which is profit, now dedicated to solving some of the world's biggest problems. It doesn't work on every single problem, and this is not to denigrate the need for government or nonprofits. We see them all as part of the same kind of alliance that companies need to build. But what's finally happening is that a good friend of ours, Lisa Uchtman, has this great quote, "We're moving past the age of corporate social responsibility into the age of corporate social opportunity." Really now the new frontier is how do companies become profitable by solving the world's problems? And in doing so, how do we create a new capitalism that's really for the many, not the few? That's really our hope and our dream. And that's what we get in the trenches with companies through Conspiracy and all the work that we do with talks and keynotes and workshops to really inspire this new generation of corporate leaders to take action in a way that has this kind of triple bottom line effect.
That was Afdhel Aziz, author of Good is the New Cool, on why purpose is the new digital in the world of marketing. Big thanks to Afdhel for his insights.
Trending topics on DFM. Fall into the gap.
The gap. It changed how we dressed, just like Facebook has changed how we communicate. And yet things haven't been very good for the fashion retailer. They haven't done an ad campaign in ages. And they don't control culture like they did in the 1990s when visionary Mickey Drexler was their CEO. Its sister store, like Old Navy and Banana Republic, are doing quite well. And its athleisure brand Athleta is cranking it out. but the parent brand is lost and continues to not know what it wants to be. This has really been brought to light as of late, as the brand's same-store sales are down 5% quarter over quarter. So what's happening with this brand, and why can't it right the ship? One is it makes the mistake of discounting everything in the stores, threatening margins and making shoppers never likely to ever pay full price for anything. It also has a fashion issue, with many of its styles copying that of sister Old Navy, but at a higher price. Considering the price tags are costly to begin with, the styles aren't really that interesting and the quality is cheap, and there truly is no direction. But this also could be because fast fashion has killed what the Gap once stood for. It was iconic and a staple. If you wanted a good pair of jeans, you could trust to get a good pair of jeans. Now jeans can cost close to $80, and you could get better designer quality from direct-to-consumer digital brands on Instagram. Heck, you can't even design jeans when the Gap should be at the forefront of this emerging trend. Furthermore, some styles don't know what year it is, trying hard to be in 2018 while straddling a 1990s and mid-2000s vibe. It appears that even the return to prep trend isn't trending the brand upward again. In a world of consolidation, should Gap consider getting rid of its flagship franchise by making it digital only and just keep the accelerator on the floor for Old Navy? That brand works in a world of fast fashion, and with consumers looking for rack deals, where stores like Nordstrom Rack have become the go-to, it may be time for the iconic brand to fall in line or get ready for some huge fallout.
Trending topics on DFM. Lou Dobbs and SEO.
This past week, Lou Dobbs, host of Fox Business News, ran a story on how Google search is biased. His research? Online influencers Lynette Hardaway and Rochelle Richardson, popularly known as Diamond and Silk, who have long claimed that their online videos are being suppressed by tech companies. Their quote, "I'm not for big government, but I really do believe that the government should step in and really check this out," they told Dobbs in an interview earlier this week. But let's get something straight here. Google search results are affected not only by region, but also by the user's personal search history. This is why PJ Media, a conservative blog, alleging that 96% of Google search results for news about the current U.S. president were from left-leaning news outlets. Is Google manipulating its algorithm to prioritize left-leaning news outlets in their coverage of the president? Asked Paula Bolliard, the supervising editor of the site, who describes herself on Twitter as a Christian, a constitutional conservative, and a cultural nonconformist. She said that she searched Trump on Google News and weighed the results using a media bias chart developed by Cheryl Atkinson, a former CBS News correspondent. Bolliard said left-leaning outlets accounted for 96% of the results, with CNN stories making up nearly 29% of the total. She said she performed the search several times using different computers, and the results did not differ considerably. But nowhere did the editor and blogger reckon with the fact that the sheer volume of content produced by different outlets plays a major role in determining the share of results they claim. She did, however, at least acknowledge that her methods are, quote, not scientific, end quote. And this is the problem, people. Just because people don't like something and the results they get doesn't mean what's happening in terms of search results are incorrect, wrong, or biased. This is what search engine optimization is all about. Publishers use certain words and terminology to end up in the Google carousel because most of their traffic, in terms of publishers, is still from search. And this means some publishers are playing the SEO game better than others. Does it mean the search engines are biased, or that publishers that have volume and understand the constant shifts in an algorithmic world gain the advantage? Google said its searches aren't politically biased. It said when users type queries into their search bar, Their goal is to make sure they receive the most relevant answers in a matter of seconds. Search is not used to set a political agenda, and we don't bias our results toward any political ideology. Every year, we issue hundreds of improvements to our algorithms to ensure they surface high-quality content in response to users' queries, Google said. We continually work to improve Google search, and we never rank search results to manipulate political sentiment. This is an interesting story to watch, because if search results are regulated, then governing bodies are truly controlling what we see, read, and share.
It's Disruptive FM.
Communications.
The Business Culture Podcast.
They say if you listen closely, you can hear the sound of today.
It's Disruptive FM, the culture of business. I'm your host, Jeffrey Colon. In the background, that's new music from Azteka. It's a track called Wondering. The TK remix. You can connect with us on Instagram or Twitter at Disruptive FM. Connect with me personally on Instagram or Twitter at DJGEOFFE. Also, check out our latest Volume 1 mixtape on Spotify, the BK Block Party. Disruptive FM is brought to you by Microsoft and Branding Strategy Insider. For more in-depth analysis, check out Microsoft.com/stories and BrandingStrategyInsider.com. Also brought to you by Iographer. Create better video. At Iographer, they make accessories for your mobile device to help you make professional videos. Learn more about all the products we use at DFM to make our videos at iographer.com.
And now, Disruptive FM presents... What? What kind of shit is that? Come on!
There's an awesome Twitter feed I've been following as of late, at Warren Buffett 99. It has some amazing advice from the Titan himself. The problem is, it's not Buffett with 2 T's. Instead, it's an imposter account who spells his last name with 1 T, or Buffet. So how interesting was it that I shared a list from Buffet on LinkedIn to see it take off? The experiment worked. People loved the list, but only a few realized, hey, wait a minute. This isn't endorsed by Warren Buffett. And how did Twitter allow a fake profile to exist on its platform when it has hard and rigid rules against this? And this is the problem. We validate what we want to believe, even if it doesn't come from who we think it is. We love our echo chambers. We don't care at the end of the day if Buffett or Buffet tweeted that advice, because if it makes us look smart or we believe in the content, we share it. And this is at the heart of the fake news issue. It's not something that can be solved by artificial intelligence, augmented reality, or cognitive services. It may only be solved by getting people to feel good about themselves beyond a bunch of soulless likes. Come on, people. Let's feel good beyond the echo chambers we have designed online, where we gamify our egos and try to boost our way out of alienation. Until then, we may be happy to share what Buffet has to say. We're now sharing literally an impersonator's list just to feel good. To this we say,
What? Come on!
It's about that time to take a look at some simmering news items we have our eye on. It's a segment we call On the Radar.
Here's what's on our radar. Number 1.
Dunkin' Donuts drops the donuts for now. Dunkin' Donuts is taking another step toward dropping the word donuts from its name. The Massachusetts-based coffee company started testing out a shorter name, just simply Dunkin', last year at a few locations. Now it's expanding that branding to 30 locations in Boston and 20 other locations across the United States. The chain is remodeling stores and refreshing its service with cold beverages on tap. Despite their downgrade in the name, Dunkin' will still sell donuts. The company doesn't plan to make any permanent branding decisions until later this year.
Number 2.
Older Americans watch the most TV. Young adults watch a third less TV than older adults, according to a report from Nielsen. Their data shows Americans aged between 18 and 34 watch an average 2 hours and 17 minutes each day, while adults aged 50 to 64 take in 6 hours and 11 minutes. Those over 65, an average 7 hours and 24 minutes every day. This could be explained because the older group are more likely to be retired, or more probably because the younger generation prefers streaming services like Netflix and Amazon Prime Video.
Number 3.
And as we head into Labor Day weekend, the summer song is... Spotify has just released its official Songs of the Summer lineup based on the number of streams, and it's stuffed with records that got stuck in our heads the past 3 months. Drake's In My Feelings topped the list both globally and in the United States, with 393 million streams alone between June 1st and August 20th. Drake was also the most dominant artist of the season, according to Spotify's data, registering 5 tracks on the global list and 7 songs in the US. Globally, the number 2 and number 3 songs both featured Bronx-born rapper Cardi B, Maroon 5's Girls Like You, and her hit single, I Like It. All right, that will wrap up our 17th episode of DFM. Big thanks to Afdhel Aziz for joining us. Make sure you pick up his book, Good is the New Cool. You can connect with us by following me on Twitter or Instagram at DJGEOFFE. Follow Disruptive FM on Twitter or Instagram at Disruptive FM. And you can read more in-depth content via our 3 sponsors, Microsoft.com/stories, BrandingStrategyInsider.com, and Iographer.com. Next week, our contributor at large, Cheryl Barbie, returns. It's been a while since we've spoken to Cheryl, and there's a lot to discuss around artificial intelligence that will be very interesting as we gear up for Advertising Week New York in October. All right, for everyone here at DFM, thanks for checking us out. We appreciate your time. I'm Jeffrey Colon, and we'll catch you next week.
You've been listening to Disruptive FM with Microsoft Communications designer Jeffrey Colon. All thoughts are his own. Disruptive FM is produced in Los Angeles by Feeler Media.